Hello, welcome. I'm Lauren. Today we're going to draw architectural drawings, and we're going to be using the Shed Birdhouse project as our example. Here's a little sneak peek at what we're going to make. It's an architectural drawing set, and it has just 4 sheets. This video has 2 parts. The first part is making the drawings to scale, and the second part is putting the drawings on a drawing set. First, I get my materials and tools together. I like this kind of grid paper for this project because the squares are big. I'll leave a link in the description for you. Next, I take my X-Acto knife and I want to cut the sheets out of the grid paper pad. It's a lot easier to work outside of the pad. The pad can be a little bit soft and crinkly, and it's better to work on a firm surface so you can get a nice crisp line. First, I'm going to draw the floor plan. That's always the core drawing for any drawing set that you do. And I want to draw it to scale. So I'm making sure that it's 7 squares wide and 7 squares tall. That's going to be my base module for this project. I put dots in the corners where I want to draw the line. That will help me know where the beginning and the ends of the line should go. I also go a little bit past the dots because that is an architectural style, and it's going to make your drawings look more authentic and polished. Next, I need to know how tall should the shed roof be. All the other drawings are dependent on this information. I know that the front of the drawing is 7 squares wide, but I don't know how tall it is. So let's take a look at that. If we remember back to the cube module, the cube is just a square, so it's basically a flat roof. And what we're looking at here is taking the front edge of that cube and pulling it up. That way the front of the shed will be taller. And that's what we're looking for, is how high should we pull that up? In this case, I'm making it 14 squares tall. Next, I'm going to draw the left and right elevations now that I know how tall the front is going to be. And I'm just drawing this out on the grid paper. The height is going to be 14 squares, and in the back it's also going to be 7 squares, just like it is on the floor plan. Basically, this project is a cube except that the front face is pulled up, and that makes it a shed. So you can see how I'm using my triangle to connect the dots for the slope. And this is what the sides of the elevation look like. If we zoom in, we can see it's 7 squares wide and 14 squares high. Now we want to find the length of the roof. Now the length of the roof isn't something that we can just imagine or count off. It's actually going to be based on the slope. So we're going back to the elevation that we just drew, and we're going to match the length of that slope to create the roof plan. We'll just trim some of this off so we can get a good fit in there. And I'm just going to make a little mark there to show, there it is, to show how long the slope was. And then I match it with a dot on the other side. And then I just connect those 2 points, and this is my roof plan. Part 2, making the drawing set. What we want to do before we get too far along is find the best sheet size. This sheet size is really too small. See how we draw this red box here? Everything needs to fit inside that red box. It's kind of like a book, it has margins. So we're going to look for another size, and I would say the next size up would be the 11 by 17, which is what this is, and that looks really nice. the drawing is a good size and there's still room around the drawing to put more information, which we will do later. You can see I've added drawing labels underneath the drawings, and I've got sheet labels, this is the elevation sheet. And then there's something else that I'm calling the drawing scale. What is that? Let's go back to our grid paper and look at what we've got against a ruler. So each one of these squares is a 1/2 inch wide. So I can take that visual, that information, and go back to the drawing and say each square is 1/2 inch. And this is going to be helpful for anyone that's not familiar with the drawings and they need to know how big to make the drawing, say for example a builder. We also add dimensions to the elevation sheets. This is the place where you show how tall something is and how short something is. Because the elevations were so big, I broke it into 2 sheets. So the front and the right elevations we saw earlier, and now we're looking at the back and the left elevation, which also has dimensions. And we'll talk about dimensions in another video. Here's the floor plan. It also has dimensions. It's 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches. And here's our roof plan. But we don't put dimensions on the roof plan. We actually leave that to the builder because they will figure that out in the field. Okay, so you're ready to get started with your own drawing set. I know this is a lot of information, but the more you do it, the more sets you create, the more automatic it will be and easier. So drop me a line if you have any questions, and please consider subscribing. I will see you on the next one. Take care.